Okay, guys, we're back, and we got this thing. I actually have finished books. I have almost read as many books in the first half of March. Pretend that this is ASMR and this is pleasant. Let's go with that. Because it is too beautiful out there to shut the door. We keep getting rain, and so when there's no rain, I want the door open. So, hi, how you doing? Sorry. But yeah, I have read in the first half of March almost as many books as I read in January and February combined. It feels like I'm back to normal. You know, in January last year, I read 27 books. I was doing almost nothing else in January last year, but still, that's not completely normal, but it's a lot more normal than the one or two, I think, that I read this year. But that's okay. You know, I've got quite a bit done, and over half of them, I think this is all I've got in the way of physical books. I've done a lot of audio, but that's okay. I don't even know. It's like they somehow know there's a camera on. So hopefully they're building something beautiful. Yeah, let's go with that. So, yeah, we're just going to pretend like it's not there. That's going to be really hard for me. This is driving me insane. But I only have a little bit of time before church, and I want to do this again because that worked out really nice. The lighting is better. I don't have to have the night with the artificial lights, and I prefer that, but I will do what I got to do, right? Reading. First thing I read was Murder at Little Minton. It's a Miss Buzzy, yes, a Miss Buzzy. A Miss Busby mystery. That's actually harder to say than you would think. Miss Busby mystery. I don't want to try that 10 times fast. I don't even want to try. You meet her in one of the Heathcliff Menics. Maybe I should just quit now. You meet her in one of the Heathcliff Lennox mysteries by Karen Baumenuin. You meet her in one of those, and she's really cute. She's kind of sort of a Miss Marple-ish character, and yet you get her from the get-go instead of most of Miss Marple's you don't. But she's just this older woman. She was a school teacher, so she's used to kind of ferreting out what kids are doing, right? So it all kind of fits together. But she helped Heathcliff in a mystery. I don't remember which one. And then now she's back with her own series, but the author is writing this with another person as well, Flora somebody. It's not Flora. Not even close. It's Zoe Markham. See what I mean? Not even close. But, and I'm wondering if that's why I had trouble getting into it in the beginning. I had trouble with Karen's last book, though. And I really thought that was me. And the situation was set up in such a way that it was kind of a bit special. And so I just thought maybe it was me or that situation. But this one was kind of a tough setup. And part of it is, I'm sure, getting this character's personality and everything down. I thought I gave this like mentally 3.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 4. But no, I actually gave it 4.5 and rounded it down to 4. So I was wrong about that. So clearly I wasn't as annoyed by some of the little nuances in this thing as I thought I was. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more some of this stuff is bothering me. And yet it was a good story and I enjoyed it. I really love Miss Busby. The problem with Miss Busby, though, you kind of get the feel that the author is still working out her character in the beginning, because she's this teacher and she is a no-nonsense person, and she can get people to do what she wants them to do, and she's not afraid to get them to do it. And she's like, you will. I mean, you know, they bring on the school teacher, right? And then, but when it comes to other places, she's like almost timid, if you will, and is afraid of displeasing someone. And it may just be because most of those times it is with this inspector and he's not local. She didn't teach him in the classroom. And maybe this is the part of her personality that would have been her primary personality if she hadn't had to be a teacher. I don't know. But what I do know is that it seemed inconsistent, and yet part of that was, it was a little bit charming, because we do have those, when it comes to me as a mom, I am absolutely not, I do not have any problem with confrontation whatsoever. I get into mom mode, and I'm like, no, this will not be. And law of Medes and Persians, I am immovable when it's right, wrong, whatever. And I am when we're talking with other people, when we're talking sin. I'm not going to justify sin. But when it's everything else, if I can let it go, if there's conflict in my mind and I can let it go, I do. And I've been tried to be cornered into them. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And so I do have that personality myself. If I can avoid confrontation without creating an unhealthy environment, I'm going to, because I don't like it. I mean, I've been married for 35 years. My husband and I have never had a fight. We've had a disagreement in where we literally do not agree, but we don't care, but no raised voices, no ugliness. Frustration, sure, but not taken out on each other, dealt with personally, and then we talk and we're done. But we've never had a fight. We've never had an actual argument. And it's not because either one of us are just super virtuous. It's because it's not who we are. But you put me in mom mode, and you're not going to get one past me. It's just not going to happen. So I can see that could be her personality. I can. But I don't know, it felt inconsistent, and yet there's a really cool juxtaposition there too that I like. So I don't know. The mystery itself was really good. There was one person I wanted it to be so bad. There was another person that would have been a really close second, and I can't even tell you why, because it would totally destroy the mystery. But what was really cool about the really close second is that it is the type of person that 99% of the time I'd be ticked off if it was that person. But in this case, it would have just been a really cool thing, which is really weird for me to say. Really cool if this guy killed him, But I would have liked it. But who it was made sense. I figured it out right away. I think I figured it out pretty quick. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it was a good mystery. I'm looking forward to the series, and I think it's only going to get better from here. The three primary characters were really, really fun. You have Miss Bisbee. Bisbee? Now she's Bisbee. I can't even. You have Miss Busby, and you have an inspector from Scotland who has moved into the area. My nose is itching. He's moved into the area. He's a lot of fun, and I love having the Scottish accent. That's always fun, right? And the narrator does a good job with it. And then you have this reporter gal, and the way that Miss Busby does her school teacher thing, where she kind of works together with these two, and basically it's like, you're going to work out your differences, and puts on her school marm persona. Those two do not get along. I suspect we're going to end up with a romance somewhere in the series. I don't care if there is. It's not going to be, if it's anything like how she did the Heathcliff Lennox, it'll be fine. It's not overbearing in the series, so I'm not going to care. And it's definitely going to be a loathe to love kind of thing. Thank you. It's nice to meet you too. It's definitely going to be a loathe to love kind of thing, which it makes things fun, right? Especially with mysteries and the press and the police. That's kind of a fun enemies trope. So I like that. But yeah, Murder at Little Minton. Next was The Library Murders by Maren Allingham, Maren Allingham. And this is the Flora Steele mysteries. And no, it's not where I got Flora for the other. I thought it was Flora all this time on the other. But this is the Flora Steele mysteries. It's like number 8 or it's several down the line. And in this one, there's a mobile library. I always love a good mobile library. And someone is killed in the mobile library. And there is this rare book that has gone missing. And there are several people who could have done it. And the police's primary suspect is someone that Flora knew years ago. and it's not that she has a dislike or a like for the guy, but she just knows the guy enough to know that he couldn't have done this. It's just not in him to do this, and so she's convinced it wasn't him. And yet he does have some things that are making him kind of suspicious, you know. So there's all of that, and that was fun. The mystery was good. The mystery was really good. I really liked the mystery. I liked the who done it, the why done it, all the done it's. But this is one of those series where there's this overarching romance building through this thing, and you know, in this one, they're trying to make wedding plans and all this stuff. And she keeps doing it in each one of these. But in this one, it was particularly annoying. When Jack and Flora have an issue, one of them is upset with the other. They are so incredibly childish. And in this one, it came out ridiculous. I mean, the others, it was almost like understandable why they might be a little childish. I could just like swallow it. This one, I was ready to throw my phone because I was listening, you know, I can't throw the book. But I mean, I was just like, grow up. It wasn't funny. It wasn't necessary. And I think that's part of it. You know, when you've got an author who needs a misunderstanding or something and they use it and usually don't use it well, but I understand why an author might do that. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was two people being childish because someone didn't like what the other one did. And so I'm basically going to punish you and you have to talk to me first. And it was just that nonsense. And I was so frustrated. I docked an otherwise great mystery that I would have given 5 stars to. I docked a star for that. And really, I almost should have docked 2. I was that annoyed. But I mean, on the other hand, it was a great mystery. And just because I don't like this doesn't mean that this isn't something that normal people do. I think it's childish. So there you have it. But the library murders, Marin Allingham and the Flora Steele mysteries. I really liked it. I'm looking forward to the next one. I just really hope they stop this childishness because this isn't going to go well. Okay, then we have my first hard copy, if you will, paperback, but print version. And this, Meet the Malones by Lenora Mattingly Weber. Okay, I don't know if you remember, but I said that I tried to start reading this when I got it, and it was insipid and I couldn't stand it, and I didn't think I was going to finish it. I don't know where my brain was. This was delightful. It was like the best of like things like Enright and Cornelia Meggs, and it wasn't as lyrical as Meggs can get. Meggs is just and she's not truly lyrical, but by comparison, yes. It had all the wholesomeness without the. You know how sometimes wholesome books just they're a little too much. Yeah, this one didn't have it. It was a great family story. And I mean, I really liked the father and how he handled things, maybe because I think he handles things like I did younger than I did, perhaps. But, you know, once my kids got to a certain age, you know, somewhere around 15-ish, they pretty much governed themselves with just, hey, yo, wait, what? Occasionally from me when they started to make a really stupid decision. And I would, you know, if I absolutely had to, I'd put a stop to it. But for the most part, I'd let them make those mistakes. And anything that's not going to affect them for their life, you know, I was like, let them do it in a safe place. And so this dad is a little bit like that. You make a good enough argument and he's going to let you pretty much self-govern. And again, these kids, the youngest sister might have been a little young for that, but she was also an incredibly sensible child. And I had one kid that I could have done that with at that age. I just hadn't thought of it yet. So, I mean, there is that. But it's World War II. The oldest sister is married and expecting. The oldest at-home daughter has just spent her grandma sends prom money. Toothless, really? Neville, what is wrong with that dog? I'm telling you, what is wrong with that dog? She just spent her prom money prom dress money that her grandma sent her on a horse because it was going to get sold to a terrible person. And so she buys it, and she's just going to have to like skip prom or get another dress, use something she's already got or make over something. And she doesn't care. She wants to save this horse. She didn't know how she's going to pay for the rest of the horse. The guy wanted $30. She only has 15, right? And so, and how's she going to feed it? She doesn't know any of it. She just wants to save the horse. Not really thinking clearly, keeping the horse in the garage. You know what I mean? But you do what you do. There's a brother, they all want money for some reason or another. Little sister wants to make over her room. And so their housekeeper is leaving. And so they talk dad into letting them do the housekeeper's job. They'll do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the whatever, and they get to split the money among themselves. So brother can get himself a new typewriter, she can pay for the horse and all the stuff, and the little sister can make over her room, right? I mean, that kind of wholesomeness, but then all that goes with it. So see what I mean? It's kind of got that Saturdays feel. But dad has to go, after Pearl Harbor, dad has to go and do war stuff. I think he's a correspondent with the newspaper. I don't think he's actually a soldier. I think it was part of the correspondence thing, but I can't even remember right now because I was so focused on everything else. The sister's coming home because her husband is going off to war, and it's going to be this great little family thing. And then grandma shows up, and grandma has her own opinions and doesn't know how not to micromanage everything. And I'm skipping a lot of stuff that would like be spoilery, but it was so fun. It was so good to see these dynamics. It was neat to see siblings who enjoy each other, parents who enjoy their kids, neighbors who misunderstand each other, but not because of a misunderstanding, but just an assumption, the assumptions they make about each other, and act based upon those assumptions instead of, really talking things out, maybe. See what a concept. But on the other hand, there's no reason to talk them out because they're neighbors and they're just assumptions. They don't have a relationship to fix. They have never really started one, right? So, I mean, it's just kind of cool. And, I can't remember. Her name is something Fred. Mary Fred. She gets infatuated with a boy. And I thought this was going to make me drop the book. When I saw this coming, I'm like, no. But it was really neat to watch everyone around her and, show who her true friends are and show just how silly girls can get when they are paid the kind of attention that they may crave but aren't ready for. And so, I mean, all that was pretty cool. I only tabbed, if you don't put your glasses back on top of your head, then patting your head ain't gonna find them. But there were two places. I'm going to see what they were. Mary Fred says, I read someplace where courage is fear that has said its prayers. I really liked that. I thought it was super cool. And then, what's this one since we're here? Why not? Either once. She's talking to her older sister. And she says, you talk so old. And her sister says, war makes you old because it puts so much living in such a short time. It shows up your strong spots and your weak spots. You have to love anybody awfully hard these days, Mary Fred. But love is nicer if you like them too. And it was so good. It was just so good. I'm surprised at how much I liked it. And I'm going to buy, because I think this is a series. So I'm going to buy the next one and see if I like it as much. I hope I do. Because it was really, truly, delightful. I don't have anywhere to put these things. All right. Okay, next up, I listened to Paper Wishes by Lois Cephison, something like that. Paper Wishes. It's about a girl who is sent from Bainbridge Island. I think that's up in Washington. But it's sent, she's up there and she's sent down to Manzanar, which is only about an hour from me, a little less. It's probably more like 40 minutes. But Manzanar is, okay, you got to think about this. This is high desert. It's very cold and windy in the winter. And it's even colder up there because it's higher elevation than down here. It's very cold and windy in winter, and it is very hot and dry in summer. It's impossible to grow stuff. And yet they created this whole garden. It doesn't talk about that in the book, but there's actually this beautiful Japanese garden that they created, and what they did with stuff. But if you're ever in California and you're ever up here on 395 by Ridgecrest up toward Lone Pine, you really should stop and just take the tour around it. It is so beautiful. That how they preserved it. What happened wasn't beautiful, but how they preserved it and how you can see what their life was. They have all the information there. Hi, how you doing? They have it all preserved there, so you can see what life was like. Now, we didn't go into the visitor center the last time I was there, and I can't remember if we ever did before. But if you go in, they have videos and whatnot. But one of the things that impressed me most when I was reading about these people are the quotes from the people who worked there, and over they just kept saying how gracious the Japanese were despite what they were being put through. And it really made an impact on me as a Christian. If I was imprisoned for my faith, for just because I happened to be a Christian for a while, would I be that gracious? Yeah, I don't think so. But maybe seeing this, maybe the Lord would poke me faster, and I would, yeah. I just wanna assume that maybe. So yeah. So Paper Wishes, it's a wonderful story. Okay, I would give this book 5 stars for the story. You got to see it and live through it with it. You got to see expectations and prejudices and compassion too. It's all there. But then you also, what happens with this girl is once they're taken away and something, I'm not going to say what it is, but something terrible happens on the way to the camp, she just stops talking. She's like, she can't talk. And so the whole story is first person present, which I don't enjoy. And that isn't what my problem with the writing was. The author does a really cool thing with repeating words. It's almost like an undulation of words. It's beautiful. But it makes other places, Toothless decided to just come lay next to the camera, so who knows what's going to happen here. But it also then creates this really, I don't know what to call it. When you're not having that repetitive undulation of words, it becomes choppy and awkward to read. And it might have been easier in print, but the narration, it didn't work for me, and I didn't enjoy it. And if the story hadn't been so great, I'd have DNF'd. But I gave this sucker 4.5 stars, 3.5 stars, something. I gave it. It ended up with 4 stars on here. I don't remember if it was 4.5 or 3.5, but mostly because the writing just bothered me. I didn't enjoy it except for a few places. But the story was that great. So if first person present doesn't bother you, the choppiness might just be a stylistic choice that I personally don't like, that a lot of people would like. But the story was wonderful. Horrible, yes, but wonderful. All right, next up was The Lost Year. Loved this book. I just bought, Krista at Books and Jams was talking about Nowhere Boy. I think it's the Nowhere Boy. Some kid, Syrian, Belgium. Was it Belgium or was it Bulgaria? It was Belgium, because French. But anyway, and she was saying how great it was by Catherine Marshall. I just ordered it last night. And I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't just finished this book pretty recently. The Lost Year, one of the best books I've read in a long time. So this is about Matt primarily, because we see everything else through Matt. But this is about Matt. It's pandemic time. He's home with his mom and his great grandma, and his dad is over in Paris, and all he's looking forward to is getting to go be with dad in Paris for the summer. They're going to go to the Alps. They're going to have a great time. He's all set for it. And this, I have to say, I wasn't really happy with the mom in this book, because frankly, I understand she's under a lot of pressure and everybody's in tense times, but seriously, that woman needed to be smacked, because this poor kid, I really felt bad for him. He's trapped in this house. She doesn't want him in the video games all the time. And so, and for that, I'm totally behind her. So she sends him outside. So he finds his bow and arrow, and it's like a soft dart kind of thing. It's not going to hurt anybody. And so he's trying to act out his video game, and accidentally shoots Grandma with this rubber dart thingy, and Grandma's cracking up. And there go the Canadian geese. Good to hear from you. But you know, Grandma thinks it's hilarious. Mom, not so much. Now Mom decides to punish the kid for doing what he was told to do, and Grandma just out of the blue showing up in the doorway, or in the area where he is, and getting herself shot. I mean, come on. I really actually am on the kid's side for this one. But Mom decides to punish him. He can't have his game back now until he goes through Grandma's boxes. Okay, look. I have no problem with her saying, look, you have to occupy yourself responsibly before I'm going to let you mess with this toy again. I still wouldn't agree per se, but I would understand. Neville, I don't understand you. He can jump on a door and open it. He will not do it with the screen door out here. I don't get it. But anyway, but going through Grandma's stuff, Grandma doesn't want to go through this stuff. So his contingency of getting his property back and his time back and be able to do what he wants to do is contingent on something that his mom isn't in control of. I got issues with that. But notice I gave this book 5 stars. I'm just pointing out where I have problems with. The dad totally blows it in this book. I was so ticked off at that dad, it wasn't even funny. It's like the parents, they seem to have a really good kind of relationship despite this divorce. Clearly there's a divorce. But the dad, I wanted to smack. I did. But then he eventually does convince Grandma to go through these boxes. And in talking with Grandma, he starts uncovering her family's story of the starvation in the Ukraine during the 30s and all that went on there. So it's told from 3 perspectives through what he's uncovering. There are 3 relatives that know about this, 1 in the US, 2 in the Ukraine, with very different lives and all that goes down there. And it's really, one of the best things about this book is the whole issue of propaganda, because you see Papa Stalin through the just adoration of one girl who thinks Stalin is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Maybe that's because she has some sliced bread. And then you see the propaganda about what's going on there through the eyes of the American cousin and the other cousin who is starving and gets no Papa Stalin bread, you know, and just how that all converges. I missed something that should have given away lots about the story, and I missed it, but it was that good. So there's that. Loved the book. Totally recommend it. It was awesome. Yeah, I wish it had been around when my kids were little, but it wasn't. So I've got about 15 minutes. All right. Next was Body on Baker Street. It's the next in the Bookshop, Sherlock Bookshop Emporium series, where the other one was Elementary She Read, I think. It has Gemma, who is arrogant and snottish. I mean, she's just so snotty. She's intelligent and she's brilliant and she has no filter. I mean, And there goes Toothless. But clearly Emma is like an embodiment of the caricature of, sort of Sherlock that you see in like the TV show with Cumberbatch. She knows what she knows, and she just says it, and it no filter. And it gets her in trouble, which is cool. And I like her character. I wouldn't necessarily enjoy being around her all the time, but if she lived in town, I would be her friend, and I would spend some time with her, and then I would need to get away for a bit. And that's okay, because I would annoy her too, so life is good. But in this one, she has, I thought I read, and I know I read it somewhere because this is where I got the idea, but I thought somebody died outside her bookshop, but they didn't. They just left the flowers, and I think that's where someone got it mixed up. Someone dies in the bookshop, and they know how. She figures it out right away, and I figured it out before it ever happened. As soon as something was said, I knew that this was going to be how someone was killed. It was so obvious. I think anyone would get it, but I won't say it because I won't give away spoilers. But there's a lot in this one, and in this one we kind of see a bit more, because one of the officers in town is pretty annoying. And in this one, you kind of see that part of that annoyance you see part of why of it, but you also see that part of it is justified, because seriously, Gemma eggs this gal on. So, but it was fun. It was great. I think I gave it 4 stars, I think. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. It was great. I'm going to listen to the next one. I thought that I would not like this as much as the last one, and I would be done with the series. But I actually liked it, so I'm going to listen to it. Is it the best ever? No. Is it on par with Benedict Brown? No, not even close. But for what it promises to offer, it delivers. So there's that. Guys, The Lost Property Office by James R. Hannibal. Go to your library, beg for it, go to eBay, buy it, go to Amazon, buy it. I don't care where you get it. Just get your hands on this thing. It's so good. This is not the cover you will usually find. They originally had this, and then they changed it. And so now there's a slightly different cover that shows Big Ben, and it's kind of got an Aurora Borealis kind of feel to it, even though that's not what it is, but it kind of has that. I don't know. It's just, I really don't like the neighbor dog. He's the most obnoxious animal. And not just because he's working right now. But anyway, I don't have time. I just got to keep going. So in this one, it's kind of like the whimsy and world of Harry Potter. No witches, no wizards, not that kind of thing, but that just kind of that magical world in the sense of wonder and beautiful, just hidden things that people don't know about, and you discover with them. All that you get from the Harry Potters. It's that meets Warehouse 13 with these artifacts and what can happen with them. And in this one, we're dealing with the Fire of London, the Great Fire of London in like 1666? I never noticed all the sixes and the fire. Was it really 1666? I bet it was. I'm gonna look that up. But anyway, so in this one, our guy, is his name Jack? Yeah, Jack Buckles. His dad goes missing. They think he's dead, so they all go to London. And mom goes off to do something. The daughter thinks she sees dad and goes rushing off. The son / brother chases after her, and they end up learning about this whole world, the Lost Property Office, and all that they're in there for, and things about Jack that he didn't know meant something. He starts discovering. Jack is one of those people that is highly sensitive to everything around him. He hears it all, he sees it all, he feels it all, and he doesn't know that this is a thing. And that's about all I'm going to give you for that. This was so much fun. it's family coming together and working together and revealing secrets, and siblings who pretty much like each other, even though maybe they get annoyed with each other at times, but you can tell they actually have a decent relationship and they have a good relationship with their parents. What a concept. And yet it's not preachy about it. It's not mentioned. It's just a reality. And I loved it. I loved it so much. Cannot wait to read the next book. I'm just sad that it won't be in this. Yeah. I think I'm going to find the French versions and get the hardback and put the dust jackets over the English versions because I love this style so much. All right. Then is the Friday the Rabbi Slept Late by Harry Kemmelman. It is a mystery. It's the first in a series, and I love this rabbi so much. And I learned quite a bit about what a rabbi is and does for their church. It's very, it's not a church, the synagogue. It's very different from, say, a pastor or a priest. I didn't realize as much of it. I mean, I knew some of it, but I didn't realize as much of it. And yeah, I really, really liked it. There are a couple things I didn't like. There are the occasional word, not very many, definitely much less than feral in Miss Halifax. And occasionally there's a little bit of crassness. Not too bad, but it's really funny. I'll miss innuendo sometimes, so there could be innuendo I missed. But I tend not to miss when it's overtly crass, and I don't like it. But again, it was A, mild, B, appropriate for the story per se. But I really loved Rabbi Small's relationship with the chief Lanigan. Lanigan was great, which is kind of funny because I think Lanigan is the name. Isn't Lanigan the name of the detective or whatever in Guys and Dolls? I think it might be. Anyway, but he, yeah, just the mystery itself, it was pretty obvious to me who it probably had to be, in the sense of this person, not this name. Didn't know what the name was, but I knew what was going on, and I just had to figure out who that person was. And then when something happened, I was like, oh my goodness, it's that person. And they're not acting like this is a big deal. And I was like, wait, what? Hello? You know, it was really funny. And I know the point was to put suspicion back on the rabbi, but it didn't for me. I was like, okay. And so then my brain started working. And so I did figure it out, but primarily because, frankly, this one person blew it, made a huge mistake, hadn't done what that person did, it would have been a giveaway. So the Rabbi Slept Late, I'm definitely going to listen to the next one. Really loved it. Okay, Sarah's Trek. This was a great book. It really was. I gave it 4 stars. You get the chronicle of this family's journey from Ukraine to Holland, basically, or just the border of Holland, and then over, they're going to go over to Canada, but they're starving and it's hard, and they're separated for a while. There's just a lot of tragedy in here, but you don't really see a thread of growth of any kind for most of it, and then boom, finally you get it. And it's really like the last quarter, maybe third, but I think the last quarter of the book where you start seeing that thread come, and then it wraps up at the end. I would have liked to see that growth before that, but oh well. But yeah, it was good. I highly recommend it, but I wish that had been brought up faster. Just her whole growth and trusting God and all that goes with it. And finally, Murder on a Mystery Tour. Yeah. It's by Marion Babson. This book would have gotten 2.5 maximum stars if it was around 60%-ish when someone finally dies. And if it hadn't been the person that she killed off, if that person hadn't been the one to die, I wouldn't have kept listening. I was just about to stop, but I was like, how long is it going to take? That's the only thing that kept me going, was how long is it going to take for someone to die? I mean, this is a murder thing, right? took that long. And on top of that, then we also had, come on, Shotona. On top of that, then I don't know, kind of had the over dramatic, stereotypical Americans. It got old, but mostly it was just, I don't know, it got better, but that doesn't mean it got good. All right, so that's it. That's what I've read. I do have to go fast, so yeah, all the books plus audio. But yeah, so what you been reading? I wanted to show you what I'm working on now, but I'm not going to because I don't have time. But what you been reading? Anything good? Yeah? I hope you've been reading some good stuff. I've been loving reading, and I can't wait to get back out here for tonight because, yeah. But I gotta go, so I will see you later with, I think I have to do a book haul. I'm really sorry, but I want to put these books away. So I'll chat with you later.